Welcome to Naija News Series, where we dissect the stories shaping Nigeria's political landscape. Today, we continue on the dust raised by Peter Obi criticism, one that has sparked a heated debate over free speech, governance, and the role of opposition politics in Nigeria. Peter Obi, the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 election, delivered a scathing New Year message that has not only captured national attention, but also provoked a fierce response from the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. The exchange has left many asking, where do we draw the line between democratic critique and political intimidation? The New Year message that stirred the hornet's nest. On New Year's Day, Peter Obi addressed Nigerians with a message of hope and critique. He painted a stark picture of the nation's current state, citing institutional corruption, economic mismanagement, and escalating poverty under President Tinubu's administration. Obi didn't stop there. He called out nepotism and warned that many Nigerians were losing faith in their leaders. His message was a plea for accountability, a call for urgent reforms, and a challenge to the government to restore hope to a nation in crisis. However, his remarks were not received warmly by the APC. APC's fierce response, Felix Morka,
he is not being rational. He's absolutely irrational in his thinking. And in his public commentary, for a man who was governor for 8 years, who left nothing to remember in Anambra State by way of a legacy or transformation, but all of a sudden, he served as governor 8 years. He didn't have the wisdom or the smarts to change Anambra State, to make Anambra the beacon, that example of, governance in the country. But then, he runs for president, in 2023, and then now he didn't win. He's sulking rather than actually get a perspective and figure out what he did to lose so he can do better in the future. He would think that he can bring down the government by simply being maliciously deceptive. That is wrong. I'm not somebody to to go on that offensive in that manner, but Mr. Obi has crossed the line so many times, and I think that at this point he has coming to him whatever he gets, he needs to manage it.
The APC's national publicity secretary wasted no time firing back. Morka dismissed Obi's claims as politically motivated, branding him a leading doomsayer who seeks to incite Nigerians against the government. Morka pointed to what he described as the administration's economic achievements, including a reduced debt servicing ratio and increased foreign investments. But it was one phrase in Morka's response that escalated the drama. He suggested that Obi had crossed the line. For Obi and his supporters, this was more than a rhetorical jab. It felt like a veiled threat. Threat or misinterpretation? Peter Obi responded to Morka's comments with grave concern, alleging that threats had been made against his life and family. He questioned whether his New Year message, which he believes was a legitimate critique of governance, had gone beyond acceptable boundaries in Nigeria's political climate. Morka, however, denied issuing any threats. He claimed his words were taken out of context and clarified that his intention was to counter Obi's narrative, not intimidate him. This back and forth has triggered a broader debate. What constitutes a threat in Nigerian politics? While Morka's choice of words may not qualify as an explicit threat, the charged political climate has amplified perceptions of intimidation, particularly against opposition figures like Obi. What constitutes a threat? In this context, a threat would involve explicit or implicit language suggesting harm to an individual or their family. Intimidation intended to suppress free speech, dissent, or criticism. Actions or statements that could provoke fear or concern for safety. A battle for free speech and democracy. Peter Obi's role as an opposition leader is critical in a democracy. His critique of Tinubu's policies aligns with the constitutional right of opposition parties to hold the government accountable. Ironically, President Tinubu himself was once a vocal opposition leader. Yet, in 2025, when Obi raises similar concerns, he faces accusations of crossing the line. This apparent double standard raises uncomfortable questions about the state of democracy in Nigeria. Can opposition leaders freely express their views without fear of reprisal? And why is criticism now being perceived as a threat to stability? Economic policies at the heart of the debate. The core of this controversy lies in the policies Obi criticized: fuel subsidy removal. While meant to address fiscal deficits, the policy has led to skyrocketing fuel prices and inflation, pushing more Nigerians into economic hardship. Tax reforms. New taxes have burdened small businesses and individuals, stifling economic growth. Foreign exchange policies. Instability in forex availability has exacerbated inflation and increased the cost of imports. The APC argues that these measures are painful but necessary for long-term economic stability. Critics, however, say the immediate suffering outweighs the promised benefits. Conclusion. Peter Obi's statements are critical but do not constitute threats. They are consistent with his role as an opposition leader and align with democratic principles. Felix Morka's response, while defensive and potentially harsh, lacks explicit elements of a threat. However, the phrase "cross the line" could be perceived as suggestive or intimidating, depending on context and audience interpretation. Ultimately, whether Morka's statement is deemed threatening hinges on how it is perceived by Peter Obi and the public. In a charged political climate, language matters, and even implied threats can escalate tensions and undermine democratic discourse. Thanks for watching Naija News Series. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more breaking news and in-depth analysis.